just gets better every time I make it. Every time I make it. Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. In this video I wanted to show you how I make my I've already been digging in but I wanted to show you how I make my delicious creamy harissa butter beans. They are packed with protein, fiber, and it's an anti-inflammatory meal. I know that I've seen some requests for more anti-inflammatory meals, so this is the start to that series that I wanted to share with you. If there are any ingredients that you see in this recipe that maybe you're not a fan of or you're allergic to, be sure to check out the recipe. It'll be linked in the description box because I'll have suggestions on substitutions that you can use. So without further ado, let's get into this delicious dish. I've made it. This is my 4th time making it, and I hope that you enjoy it as much as I do. So let's get into it. Okay, let's get into these ingredients. You should be able to find most of, if not all of them, at your local grocery store. But the main ingredient here that we'll be using are canned butter beans. Sometimes they do come in a box. You just want to drain them and rinse them. But if you would prefer to use dry butter beans and then soak them and cook them, you definitely can. I would just recommend getting low sodium ones like this. The next main ingredient for this dish is harissa sauce. If you're unfamiliar with harissa sauce, it's made up of peppers, chilies, garlic, oil, warm spices, but it has like a peppery tomato-like taste. I use mild harissa sauce because I can't handle too much spice, but this does also come in various heat levels, so it's completely up to you on which one you choose. I also included sun-dried tomatoes in this dish. The one that I use for this recipe does come in oil. I just removed them from it, but I feel like those have the most flavor, which is why I tend to get them. Of course, I had to have a leafy green in here. This is my favorite type of kale. It's a dino kale, but you can absolutely use curly kale or spinach if you'd prefer. Now, what is a recipe without these two? I love me some shallots as well as garlic. If you can't find shallots or you just have red onion on hand, you can also use that instead. A little salt and pepper to taste. Y'all see what I did there? Okay. Also using nutritional yeast, which has a nutty cheese-like flavor. Also high in B12. But if you're not a fan of nutritional yeast, you can definitely just use plant-based Parmesan. This is the brand that I used. However, there are so many brands of nutritional yeast out there, so just use what you can find. Now, y'all knew garlic powder was gonna be in here. I'm also including red pepper flakes for a little kick. And to make this dish creamy, we're gonna add vegetable broth as well as a dairy-free milk. I'm using soy milk. However, you can absolutely use coconut milk, almond milk, a cashew milk. Just make sure it's unsweetened. I use soy milk for the added protein. And now that we've gone through all the ingredients, it's time to prep them. So I just started out by mincing my garlic. You can also just buy pre-minced garlic if you want to. I just had garlic on hand, so figured I'd do it on my own. I also roughly chopped slashed somewhat of a mince for the shallots as well, and then I shredded the kale and roughly chopped the sun-dried tomatoes. All right, so most of the time-consuming part is out the way. The rest of this is gonna fly by for you. We're gonna start off by cooking up the shallots. I swear these stainless steel skillets do not play when it comes to heat. Anywho, after sauteing those for a bit, add the garlic. We're gonna cook those for about a minute or two. Just be careful not to burn them. You don't wanna burn the garlic. And add in the chopped sun-dried tomatoes, followed by the drain and rinse butter beans. And if you're not a fan of butter beans, you can't find them, or maybe you're allergic, this will also work with chickpeas. I would just recommend maybe using a can and a half, or probably even 2 cans of chickpeas instead of the butter beans. Add in your milk. Again, I'm using an unsweetened soy milk, but you can use coconut milk or whatever milk or cream you prefer. And then also add in the vegetable broth. Now, I normally would have added the harissa sauce immediately after adding in the beans, but I forgot. Whoops. So do as the recipe says, which is to add the harissa to the beans, let that cook for a bit, and then add the milk and the vegetable broth. And then we're gonna let that simmer for a bit and then season it up. So adding the salt, the black pepper, nutritional yeast, And again, you can use plant-based Parmesan if you prefer. I also added in garlic powder and the red pepper flakes. Though I have measurements for the seasonings and spices, please just adjust to your liking. You know, add different seasonings if you would prefer. You really want to make this your own and cater to your taste buds. By now it should have thickened up a bit. You're going to add the kale or spinach if that's what you're using and mix that really well. You may want to add more vegetable broth or more milk if you would prefer this to be a little bit more soupy almost and just a bit more creamy. And now if you want to get a little fancy like I enjoy doing, I drizzled some coconut milk on top and then I added more of the harissa sauce as well. I went ahead and toasted up some sourdough bread because it is time to dig in, and as you can tell, your girl wasted no time because this is so delicious. Y'all, I'm digging in. I swear, this gets better every time I make it. It's so delicious. And I like to have it with the sourdough bread. It just does something, okay? It just does something. But I hope you try out this recipe. Give this video a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments what you think about the recipe if you plan to try it. And if you do try it, come back and give me an update. I would love to hear from you. I will see you in the next video.